Baylor at SMU. Baylor's catching 3 after a pretty, we'll call it ugly loss, because even though you were kind of in it there at the end of the game, defensively, I think it was even worse than the score dictates. Like, that was bad. On the defensive front, you were getting mauled. 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 And it's not like SMU can't run the ball either. It's not like they have, a G5 offensive line. No, 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 no. They have a power 4 offensive line. You're going to be going up. Not one as good as Auburn, right? And I think Auburn, preseason, they were getting, top 15, top 10 projections as an offensive line unit, okay? And maybe that ends up playing out as the season goes along. But I think still, even watching that game, it was ugly for David Randa and his defense there. The bright side, that passing attack was electric. Sawyer Robinson didn't have it every single throw, but it was enough. Cole Wilson being awesome, Ashton Hawkins being great. And where the hell was Josh Cameron? You literally didn't see him all game until, a garbage time 27-yard catch with like the last couple plays of the game. And then another big catch before that in the fourth quarter. Like, even with Josh Cameron not going, you can still see this passing attack being as elite as it is. And Bryson Washington at running back, of course, probably didn't even get enough carries, but you were down in the game for a lot of it. So this is a really talented offense. It is the defense that I am concerned about. And SMU, I mean, they're coming off a college football playoff appearance. They're still talented at the running back spot. You got TJ Harden in the transfer portal. Derek McFall is there. Chris Johnson Jr. I mean, you got 3 guys that you really like in there. And then, I mean, still a talented team. And particularly on the offensive line, by the way, who some of these transfers look to be pretty solid that you got. Oh, CD, the mute button just annihilated you.
Oh, what are we doing? Just breaking off some rust here. It's only week 2. Forgive me. But I was going to say, like, this is a great matchup in terms of like East Texas, like Dallas, Fort Worth area, right? Waco with Baylor against Dallas. So, like, I love that they're playing this game, first of all, even though they're not in the same conference. I don't know if there's a huge history there between the two teams. I'd expect there not to be really, but I love that. Last thing I will say about like non-game related stuff is, why is this on the CW network? Can I just say that? Like, do better, the ACC. Like, okay, that's all I'll say. And I know you fans probably, some people like the CW. If you get it and you get it quickly, like, that's great for you. But it's pretty hard to watch, and I don't know. That's just it. To the game though, Baylor plus 3.5. They're getting 3 against SMU. I think for the national fans, I think it's hard to get that taste out of your mouth of the first half against Penn State. The last time you saw SMU was that game, right? Kevin Jennings turning the ball over, just struggling in the red zone, 4th down, miss that, a lot of bad stuff. Everything that could go wrong went wrong, and that led to you being down a whole heck of a lot of points against Penn State. But I think this team is better than that, and like, they're still a pretty talented team, even though you lost Rashard Smith and some others to the NFL. Kevin Jennings is awesome. It's nice to see Romello Brinson have a good game. RJ Maryland, nice to see him back. Jalen Cooper, the freshman. So there's like a lot of talent here on that offense, especially. It will be really, really interesting to see, how these defenses play, because I don't think anyone's questioning the quarterbacks, the play callers, or, anything to do with the offenses of these teams. It's going to be about their defenses, and like, their ability to win their conferences and to go far this season is going to be dependent on their defense getting stops. And it starts with this game, because we know how dynamic these two teams will be. I want to see Bryson Washington get going more for Baylor as a running back. He got a little banged up in that game. I know you talked about them getting down early and other stuff, kind of game script, kind of wrote him off there, but would still like to see him get more. You could stay patient with the running game, even though it's hard to take the ball out of Sawyer Robertson and like all those receivers. Like, they give you such a problem, because Michael Trigg, first of all, too, at tight end is dynamic. He's a physical freak. And what he does after the catch, too, is sometimes very, very impressive. But like, I want to see SMU like go up against their 13 personnel, where it's Bryson Washington, Michael Trigg, Cole Wilson, all, like, you mentioned Josh Cameron, Ashton Hawkins, like all those guys, like, holy cow, are that 11 really good football players on for Baylor? How can SMU handle that? On the opposite side, like, Baylor just struggled against the quarterback run specifically, and also stopping the run on first and second down. That is concerning, to say the least. Although, like, I did think they were playing a little bit further back to stop the elite receivers that Auburn had. But honestly, like, yes, the talent at receiver gets probably worse against. It does get worse for SMU, but the threat of a passing game that SMU has on Baylor is bigger. Like, the SMU passing threat is a better passing offense than what Auburn produced you. So, like, that's going to be one that's going to be interesting to watch here. Like, what does Dave Aranda do to stop that? And like, how does he adjust with his team kind of getting shredded in a lot of different ways defensively? With all that being said, I'm going to go with Baylor +3, and I hate to do that. But I did think, like, in a game where I feel like these teams are pretty evenly matched, let me just take the team getting points, and that's kind of where I'll go with it, even though they're on the road. Obviously, if this is neutral site, it'd be a pick 'em. It's at about 3 points for home field advantage. So Vegas thinks they're very even. I love the matches between these two. I think you'll have a play on this game, not necessarily the spread, which will be interesting to see, talk about later on in the episode. But yeah, give me Baylor +3.
Yeah, I'll take Baylor in a shootout. SMU, it took them a little bit, and maybe they got all of the rust off, offensively, but it took them to the fourth quarter to score their third offensive touchdown, which I know, like, whatever, it's week one game, yada, yada, yada. Let's not take too much into account. And that's not why I'm necessarily making this pick. I think preseason, I talked about this with Iowa State, like, I had Baylor being a significantly better team, and you do have to use what you saw a little bit, but I just don't want to overreact. I gotta believe that Dave Rand is gonna have something dialed up in there, and I know that SMU is still a good team, but in a shootout, which is what I think this is gonna be, I'll trust Sawyer Robertson in this elite offense. And SMU may also seem like they're an elite offense as well with the defense that Baylor's going to be trotting out there, and they are pretty good. But in a shootout, I mean, I like Baylor. And by the way, too, it's not like you can just comfortably play ahead of Baylor, right? You're up 2 touchdowns in the third quarter. Like, you're not safe from Baylor. You're not safe. You have a couple drives where you stall an offense or you turn the ball over. Like, it's scary. So, I don't necessarily feel the same way about SMU's offense. We're like, oh my gosh, you're freaking out. You still have to feel like you have to put your foot on their throat. Even if you're up 2 touchdowns. Like, I don't know. So I'll take the points here. I'm like you. I'm just excited to watch this game. Don't have a super heavy conviction either way. But let's go. Let's catch ourselves a good game. Two good quarterbacks, two interesting coaches here. I mean, you love to see it.